We're here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Thanks for joining us. We have a special guest with us over the internet today, and that is Nick Gordiichuk. He is a farmer from the Ukraine, and he is in a situation that is not very safe, obviously, as we know what's going on there with the conflict. Nick, we thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us and bring us up to date as to what is going on there.
Good day or good evening, my friends. It's about 8 p.m. in Ukraine now. Thank you for inviting me to your network and for a possibility to share some experience from Ukraine, which is now being fought by Russia. And farmers have to not only to be farmers but also soldiers in our country.
So, Nick, I'm going to ask right off the bat: where are you located currently in the whole scheme of things?
Our farm, I farm about 600 hectares, which is considered to be a relatively small farm in Ukraine. We grow wheat, winter wheat, maize or corn, seed potatoes, and table potatoes for processing industry. My farm is located about 150 kilometers north of Kyiv, in Chernihiv area, and that's exactly where the aggressor entered our country. At the moment, our farm unfortunately is under occupation, and we don't have access to our farm.
But you're in a you're far enough away from it right now in terms of what's going on.
I'm located in Kyiv area, which is about 150 kilometers from where my farm is, and that's still pretty safe at the moment.
So tell us about your situation, I guess, being in Kiev there, and how it's relating to, I mean, what normally would be happening on your farm. What are you guys still trying to do here with all this going on? I mean, we hear reports in the United States that they're urging farmers to try to go on as normal as possible, but obviously normal is something new for you guys every so many minutes. Tell us about what's going on there and how you guys are pushing through.
Right. At this time, we usually start seed drilling early crops, and also we put fertilizer on winter wheat, for example, etc. And as you all know, Ukraine has been a breadbasket for Europe for many years. And if you look at the supplies of sunflowers or corn or wheat, Ukraine and Russia for some countries is up to 25% of the total consumption, like Egypt, for example, or Turkey or other countries. So Ukraine has been playing a vital role in general in food security, at least in some parts of the world. What's happening today? Some of the territory is being annexed, or it is in fact under active war or military actions, and farmers cannot. First of all, they don't have access to their land, but in many cases, even those farmers who have access to their land and to their machinery, they face two main questions. One is access to input supplies, for example, fertilizer. And we know this is not only for Ukrainians, but also for other farmers in Europe. It's a problem this year. We have a deficit of fertilizer with the gas prices going up. Second problem we have in Ukraine is access to diesel and to gasoline and diesel. Because in most of parts of Ukraine, you don't see diesel now available on the gas stations because the supplies has been and logistics has been spoiled by the war actions. So these two issues will definitely influence the availability of areas which will be planted this season. And as well, any farmer or any businessman relies on banking and financing. And access to financing in Ukraine will be a big problem this year for farmers. Even though our government is trying to arrange various financing schemes for farmers, but we all know for small and medium farmers, it's very difficult to get financing from the bank, but also in a situation of a war, when we have when most of banks are cutting on their risks and they're not willing to finance small and medium farms. So we are facing we have, let's say, a week or two still time, but of course we all see now that the aggression will not stop because of this death. I would say thousands of deaths of civilians that happen in Ukraine, and also we see that Russian army is targeting on purpose agriculture enterprises, storages, and machinery, and this can also be one of the problems for farmers in this sowing campaign. What we see now, up to 30% of areas will not be planted at all at the moment. I cannot say what will happen in the next week or 2 weeks time. Some farmers are even are desperate because they are not sure what will they do with the crops if they grow it. Because some farmers still have wheat from last season. They still have maize from last season, which they stored, hoping they can sell it more expensive, after the season. What happens now? We have no access to the Black Sea, and with Russia bombing ships and cutting us from main ports in the south, many farmers will have to seek possibilities to export only via railway through Europe, which will take years to develop and to connect these liaisons. So Ukrainian farmers are facing big difficulties and uncertainties this season. Nevertheless, I think it's just like in America; it's in our blood. When the sun is shining and we touch the soil, it's the right temperature. We go there and try to do something. For example, last week, while we could hear shelling in our farm, we were still putting fertilizer. We were putting some ammonium sulfate to our winter wheat until we saw Russian tanks entering our village. We had to evacuate some of the people, some of the stuff from the farm. And today we only count on central Ukraine and western Ukraine to secure food for this coming season. So that's the situation.
And so you also mentioned, talking about how it's in the blood, and farmers see that there's going to be obviously a humanitarian crisis amongst their own brothers in the country, and so their brothers and sisters in the country, and so they're going to obviously want to do everything they can to help provide. And you were talking about how you were packing seed potatoes and things like that, but what are you hearing, whether it's from you or what others are doing to try to secure food supply for as many people as they can here in your own country?
Well, there are two main questions where farmers have united. There are many associations or unions which cooperate together, and where do we all aim or put our efforts? First, we try to help people to survive in those cities which are being shelled now. For example, Kyiv is under attack. Kharkiv has been under attack. Chernihiv under attack. And for these cities, we are trying to supply vegetables, potatoes, flour, so people can cook and make some bread, for example. So that's one main task for us, is to help people survive in cities which are being under attack, where people cannot leave, because some people left. We know that about 10 million of Ukrainians have left their homes. Wow. 3 million of Ukrainians left Ukraine, and thanks to our good friends in Poland, in Germany, in Romania, in France, many people fled to these countries, especially women and children. But many people, about 7 million, have left from eastern Ukraine and moved to western Ukraine, where they are staying, and they also they need more food than these regions usually needed. So that's part of the efforts to feed the nation and to keep people from starving in those areas. As you asked, we have to think about next year what will happen, and that's where farmers try to get together and to organize diesel, gasoline for also seedlings or seeds for the next planting campaign. And and at the same time, our government is helping also with some to make it easy to import seeds from abroad, to import some machinery from abroad, which are necessary for the planting campaign.
So, Nick, tell us about livestock and dairy production. Obviously, taking care of animals, a lot different than producing grain. Can you tell us what's going on for those producers?
Well, that's a good question because well, in general, dairy and livestock business in Ukraine has been going down for some time because I would say only enthusiasts were involved in this type of business. People, for example, we have one of our seed potato grower in the northern part of Ukraine, in Zhytomyr area, and he has about 700 cows. And in this area, now he has soldiers around and also shelling, but he stays there with his family because when you have cows or livestock, you have to be there every day. You have to milk them every day, and you have to feed them every day. So it's not easy. But another problem is also the milk factories or processing factories are not working. So even if you milk the cows, you have to do something with the milk, right? So many farmers have what they're doing now. They're giving away milk for free to people in the area. So one way they are helping the cow to get, they're helping to distribute the milk, but also they're helping people to get, I would say, free food in this situation. So that's the situation right now. Most of processing plants and factories, unfortunately, are standing still.
Obviously, with last year's crop, sitting in storage, as you mentioned earlier, I mean, it's not like it's something you can pick up and move very easily or
Absolutely.
with any kind of speed, especially if you get the warning that someone's knocking at your door and the aggressors are coming your way. I mean, what's being done to move as much grain as possible out of the way before it could fall into Russian hands?
Well, we could see already that those areas which are already occupied in the south of Ukraine, Russians are stealing, in fact, the grains, and they already exported more than 5,000 tons of grains from the port in the south. And when you speak about farmers who are in the central and western Ukraine, well, they're using this grain now. First of all, they use it for flour to bake bread. But I cannot say much about export operations now because a lot of businesses stopped. Based on the statistics, about 70% of businesses in Ukraine stopped. Wow. Logistic chains have been disturbed or completely destroyed. And even for us to move potatoes from one area to another, it's a big problem to find a truck with a driver who is willing to risk his life. Another problem is to find diesel or gasoline to fill that truck. So it's I would say very challenging season for us. And but we are all inspired by the heroism of our army that is fighting and allowing us to do our farming so we can feed the people during these tough times.
You also mentioned at the beginning, Nick, that obviously some of the farmers have done their part and are joining the defense of Ukraine. And obviously, probably just like the United States, farmers here are very fiercely patriotic. And we understand that drive to help defend your land, defend your neighbors, defend your families. Are you seeing a lot of that from the farmers? I mean, what are you seeing on that situation?
Well, just like I said, most of farmers, they try to stay next to their farm, and they react when the enemy comes to their area. That is also connected to the fact that when you're a farmer in the area, you're also responsible for people around. So you have a social responsibility to the village or to the area where you are in, because when there's war, people will come to you because you take part of the responsibility for what's happening, and they come to you for help. So many farmers support the army with food, with also, for example, for us, we helped with diesel. What we had in our farm, we gave everything, all the diesel we had to the army. And that's also one of the problems for farmers now, because, for example, tractorists, or truck drivers, they're being mobilized now. And then the question is, who will do the planting? Who will seed drill corn or sunflowers? That's another challenge which we are facing this season. But we believe that with this patriotism and also with the help of God, of course, we will be able to stand to our land and not to let the aggressor take over.
Now, I know speaking for farmers around here in the United States, when something bad happens, they want to pull together, they want to help each other. Like you said, the social responsibility, whether it's been weather situations. War is something our generations have not seen in our land for almost 200 years. And so for us to comprehend, it's almost impossible. But the thing is, I know the farmers in this country, and I'm some people want to tap dance around this question. I'm going to ask it bluntly. I'm going to ask for a candid answer. They're going to want to know what can be done to help you. What can we do to help? And I hope for a candid answer on this.
Well, when being over the ocean, first what you can do is, of course, you have to work with your congressmen and your parliament members to United States already is doing a lot for Ukraine, helping us with weapons, helping us with supplies, and helping us also with the aid, financial aid, which your government has approved. I would say just recently, and Joe Biden spoke about it. I think it's over 13 billion. Yes,
Something like that, yeah.
for protection. But what we need, we have to close the sky. Otherwise, what we see now, Russians are shelling complete cities. They're Mariupol is now 80% destroyed. Buildings are destroyed. So people will have, if in the Western Ukraine people can return back homes, in Eastern Ukraine people have no place to return. And many people should know what it is not to have a home. When you have no roots, no home, and it's a desperate, you feel like you're a tree without roots in this world. So first of all, of course, I would like to thank you for supporting our country, but also you can do more. You can push for closing the sky over Kiev, because Russians want to take over Kiev. When they take over the capital, they consider it capitulation, and we don't capitulate. We don't give up our country, and we don't give up our nation. Second, of course, there are various ways to support. If you go to Help Ukraine or website, you can always donate and help to buy humanitarian aid or products which are mostly needed by different territories or different cities. And I think that's easy also to find on internet, or if you go online, you can also find it easily. But of course, the most what we need is a political support as well. We need your help to close the sky over Kiev, because we have more than 1.5, 2 million people left in town, and this town is being bombed every day. And we hear the sound of Syrian of shelling every morning and every evening. People are going down and running to bomb shelters, and it's unbelievable to see this situation in 21st century, when you think people should be able to find diplomatic ways of resolving any dispute. I believe on the ground operations, we are winning the war, because a Russian army is demoralized. They have no sense of coming here. And what do? They say they come to denazify Ukraine. And Ukraine, you have to kill 40 million people to denazify Ukraine. We are all Ukrainians, and Russians have unified us as never before. They did completely the opposite. They were expecting us to meet them with flowers, but vice versa. We are standing for our country, and we want peace. And all we want to do, we want them to go home. That's it. There are no Ukrainians who are willing to see Russians in our country. And we wanted peace. We never wanted to fight. We were never a threat. Just like NATO is not a threat to Russia, like America is not a threat. Ukraine never been a threat. We just happened to be in the wrong place, wrong time, between Europe and between Russia. And where I was just before that, if you close the sky, we can do the rest. We can win the ground battle, just like we are doing now.
So, Nick, we know fuel is an issue right now, but obviously the government asking farmers to plant as much as you can, as normally as you can, even during a war. Nick, what about seeds? I mean, do you have enough supply to grow more food for the people in your country?
Usually how most of seed supplies we get is from Western companies, so big companies. I don't know if I am allowed to mention here, but we all know them. Even myself, I have been to North Dakota and Oregon, meeting some seed companies in the past, and bringing some seed of various crops to Ukraine and registering them, etc. So most of these companies, they bring their supplies to Ukraine before New Year, so just before the season. So I would say we have most of the seeds we need for planting. Plus, our government have made it easier procedure for foreign companies to import seeds and custom clearing. So the seeds are now considered to be a critical import. So with that in mind, I think we will have no problems with seed supply. Where we will have a problem is, of course, we have to pay for those seeds. So access to financing will be a problem, and working capital for many farmers will be a problem, which is now our government, but also the banks are working on it, and it's not an easy situation.
So what's the situation on the Black Sea? We hear conflicting reports that no shipping is going on. Sometimes some shipping is going on. We know that for the most part, Ukraine is closed off, but what about the rest of the traffic that would normally be going through that area?
That's right. They almost blocked the Black Sea, not only for Ukrainians, but also some Romanian ships cannot go through, or ships under Panama flag cannot go through. Some big ships with other supplies cannot go through around Odessa or Mariupol or Ilyichovsk, the other ports which we have in the south. So the export from Ukraine now is blocked. Government is doing now. Government has allowed and also made it easy to import fuel from Europe, from Romania, Poland, and from other countries. This way, they will make it easier access to receiving fuel, and also would be we as farmers can now apply through the program and also mention how much fuel we need, and we will be able to get it. Of course, we will have to pay for it, but at least it will be available.
Well, Nick, certainly we thank you for taking the time to visit with us. We know there's a lot of safety issues there for you and your people. We are definitely praying for you and hoping that a speedy resolution can come about as soon as possible. We think that sometimes we have problems, but we live in a bubble, most certainly over here in the United States, and we definitely have no idea what kind of troubles are out there. So again, we pray for you, your family, and for all the people of the Ukraine. We really hope that things end very soon. Thanks again for talking to us, and please be safe.
In this possibility, I would like to thank American people and American farmers for supporting us. You've done a great deal in supporting. I hope you'll go with us to the end, and until we win.
That again was Nick Gordiichuk. He's a Ukrainian farmer here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. We certainly pray for the safety of him, his family, and all the others in the Ukraine. But he was kind enough to give us an update as to what is going on. We thank him for taking the time to visit with us. Be safe, and we'll see you back here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network.